Leadership is not a title. It's a choice that we make every day. It's how you show up to a meeting, how you handle setbacks. There's going to be setbacks in life. It's really how you handle that. You want to make sure that you're giving credit to your team members, to people that have helped you. And it's really about taking responsibility. All of these small choices compound over time, and they really help create your true legacy.
Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we sit down with executive leaders to explore what leadership really means through the lens of their stories, their wins, their struggles, their vision, and their lessons along the way. I'm Ty Hammond, founder of One Mountain Leadership and creator of the True Leadership Approach, an awareness-based path that helps leaders shift their focus from what to do about their problems to how to grow from them. Whether you're just stepping into leadership or are well-seasoned and at the top of your game, your potential won't be realized following someone else's script. But you can draw insights from their stories and turn it into wisdom by putting it into practice in your own life.
Okay, so welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we explore the essence of leadership beyond tactics and performance by sitting down with executives to hear what matters most to them. I'm your host, Ty Hammond. Today's guest is Blake Sasnett. Blake is a senior marketing and revenue leader with extensive experience scaling teams, driving go-to-market strategies, and leading integrations through organizational change. As VP of Marketing at Kingstree Ventures, he oversees brand, demand generation, and growth across 6 portfolio companies. He has managed teams of 125 plus, delivered 10 to 40 million in quarterly revenue growth, and has guided 4 major merging and acquisition integrations. His expertise spans sales development, ABM, analytics, and pipeline optimization. Beyond work, Blake is also a certified yoga instructor, reflecting his commitment to balance and well-being along business impact. It's a real pleasure for me to have Blake on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Blake.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. I always start with this question here. Every leader has a beginning. I've really found, of course, that who we are as a leader at work and in life really starts taking shape long before we advance to any executive position. I'm curious, who is someone from your early life or maybe an early experience, something or someone that shaped the kind of leader that you are today?
Yeah. So when I'm really thinking about my first role in sales almost 20 years ago, I was very grateful to have a mentor, a sales leader named Tracy. She really stood out, not just by the way she hit targets, but she made people really feel seen and capable to do their role. She told me, just show up. Don't be afraid. Don't bring in ego. Don't be afraid of what other people are thinking. Just show up and really bring your best. And she created an environment where people can grow, where people can take risk. And I really owe it to her for, laying that foundation, not only teaching me how to cold call and how to close deals, but also taught me that people matter and people are first in any business. So I'm very thankful for that.
Well, it sounds so pivotal. A little shout out to Tracy here for being a true leader in her own right there. I'm curious, how do you feel like that experience has shaped how you're showing up as a leader yourself today?
I will say that grinding my my teeth, so to say, in sales really taught me to be able to reset my mind every day when people say no, when a deal doesn't go your way, not to take that at heart, just to know that that is a part of being in business. And so 20 years later, you fast forward, and I'm now a VP in New York City. I've had to take criticism with a grain of salt because everyone has an opinion. But at the end of the day, if you stay focused with what really is my shining light and what's going to get me to my end goal, that's how I've remained grounded and remained focused on, what is my mission.
I really love that. In this podcast, we're exploring the essence of leadership, what I call true leadership. And of course, that means different things to different people. So what does true leadership mean to you? And what makes a true leader?
It's about influence. It's not authority. It's really about the ability to set your vision, align people around your vision, and then remove the roadblocks and just get out of the way so people can do their best work. It's also, accountability with empathy. You've got to hold yourself. I hold myself every day to a high standard, but also create, space for others to thrive and having that empathy being your lighting guide as well. So again, it's really about influence. It's not authority and pushing people to do things. You've got to have the influence over them and explain and show the reason why.
That's a really powerful word, and I totally hear you, like, getting the buy-in. What's the way that you go about, or your philosophy around how to really, grow and cultivate influence as a leader?
Yeah, it really starts with the why. So the more transparent you are with employees, with peers, the better the outcome. So if we all understand the why, we can really understand and start to dig in how we're going to get there. And so again, it goes back to not being that authoritative decision maker. It's that influencer that collects information and collects feedback and then comes up with a collective answer. Yeah, so I think we've all worked for leaders who have that authority type figure, right? And you always feel on your toes or you feel like, oh, I've got to, triple, double check, make sure everything I'm doing is correct. And it just doesn't make for a good environment. I think, over the past 5 or 6 years, the work environment has changed. People are in different locations, people are on Zoom, remote or not. And I think really it doesn't mean no good to be an authority figure, to micromanage or to say, are you in front of your desk at exactly 9 o'clock a.m. At 9:01 you're late. So that does no good for the overall structure. So I think it's laying the foundation, sharing what is expected, and then you do still have to be that authority figure in your one-on-ones or in your team meetings. So it doesn't go away completely, but it's your approach on how you're being that authority figure. The old ways of micromanaging aren't working. So how do I remain, the leader, but also influenced by, it goes back to our why. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that. It really aligns with, my sense of true leadership really requires deep listening to what is the leadership that's needed in this moment. Sometimes that more authoritative style might be what's needed, right? And really being able to read the room by paying attention. That really leads me into my next question here. And it's always apparent to me when I'm having a conversation with somebody that really has dedicated or committed themselves to their own personal and professional growth. I think leadership in general requires that. Thinking about your journey over the past few years, what's been the most valuable investment that you've made in yourself? Whether a coaching program, a community, another commitment, and what difference has it made in your leadership and your personal growth?
Yeah. So I think I look back to when COVID first started, we're all in this uncertainty. What's going to happen? We're all now working from home. We need to look to our leaders for guidance and you need to lead by an example. So for me, I really leaned into yoga. I became a 200 hours certified yoga instructor. I studied yoga for a year at Dancing Dog Yoga in Atlanta. And I really attribute that coaching and that training to help me become a better leader. I'm able to have a higher emotional intelligence and really understand the room. So you understand people come in and may have had a horrible day or something bad happened within the family. They bring that to work, and you can kind of see that in their body language. And so for me, becoming a yoga instructor, I'm able to really set the tone, bring down kind of the frustration within the room, and bring down the walls so people can honestly bring their full and true self to work. So investing in myself to teach and to coach people that we'll get through this and we'll make it to see brighter days has really helped me even excel in my career.
I love that. And as a practitioner of yoga, let me tell you, I really appreciate a good yoga teacher. And I love that you're bringing those lessons into work as well. I'm curious if you could say just a little bit more specifically, because I'm just actually really curious. In what ways do you feel that yoga training has helped you read the room, as you were saying?
Well, if you knew me probably 10 years ago, I've always been a little high strung and I could fall into that authoritative leader. So I think in actuality, learning yoga has taught me to pause, to breathe more, and to recognize what's happening in front of me. Because it's so easy, I can give an example, someone coming running into my office, the leads are bad, or, this client's not answering the phone, or they said no. And, there's a lot of negative energy coming into the room. And so being able to recognize that and then pause and understand, okay, how am I going to react to, this scenario has really helped drive the right decisions. It also has helped with cohesive leadership, cohesive team members to work together and not necessarily always be clashing with each other.
I love that. Sounds absolutely essential. The way that I sort of think of it's awareness based work, right? And if you're not aware of in reacting to your own reactivity, then you're not going to be able to see clearly what's actually happening in front of you. And you're not going to be able to attune energetically to who's in the room. None of those things really end up in a good outcome. So I love that. Uh, it generally, very much in support of anything that brings body awareness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about there's always going to be turbulence in a business. There's always going to be things happening. You're going to be in a merger, you have numbers to hit, you need MQLs. If you're in a plane and turbulence hits and you take a look at the flight attendants, are they freaking out? Usually no, right? And so we hope not. And so that's the same scenario in business. Your employees, your team members are looking at you. And if you're freaking out, that's going to have the effect of everyone else is freaking out. So remain calm throughout, the situation. Remind people to use their seatbelts, but we're still headed towards the right direction.
I mean, I just have to share this little story with you because I was on a plane with I think he was 6-year-old son at the time, and I was sitting next to another dad, and we hit Blake, I'm telling you, this was the most intense turbulence I've ever hit in my life. And my kid looks up from his iPad or whatever he's doing, and he looks at me as if like, should I be scared right now? And I just gave him, me and the other dad sit next to him, just looked at him and gave him this big smile. We're like, it's okay, buddy. It's kind of fun, huh? And he's like, yeah, it's kind of fun. We looked at each other. We were freaking out.
Right. Exactly. It's kind of fun. I mean, if you look at that and you don't bring it home with you, like let's enjoy the day. Like there's going to be obstacles. It is kind of fun. Let's move on to the next adventure, right?
I love that. I love that perspective. Fantastic. So leadership
Yeah.
obviously is not, there's a leadership is so much about how we meet the moment and the turbulence of the moment. It's also about what we're shaping for tomorrow. I'm curious, what's your vision for your leadership, your legacy, the impact that you want to have in the years ahead?
When I really think about that, I grew up in a very small town in Florida, not a lot of resources. And so for me, my legacy and my impact is showing that you can do anything that you put your mind to. You really can. I don't want to get emotional on that, but you really can. You have a vision, you set a goal, and you work very hard for that, and you can accomplish whatever you want, right? It's not going to be easy. There are going to be lots of bumps in the road. There's going to be lots of turbulence, but if you can impact one, two individuals in your career, I think you've done a great job. So I think for me, I've managed my largest team at one point was 125 sales development reps. A lot of those still reach out to me on LinkedIn, still want guidance and support. And I'm happy to do that. And I think that really sets the tone for what I want to be remembered for.
I love that so much. And, I hear your own words going through my head as well. I consistently feel similarly, like even just one or two people, a true positive impact. I love that quality over quantity. And just to say, it seems apparent that it's already been so many more than one or two people, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
There's more to come, right?
yeah.
I'm halfway through my career, hopefully. I still
Yeah.
have a lot more to do. So
Yeah, fantastic. So, I mean, curious for you to maybe expound a little bit. If you were dreaming here a little bit
Oh,
And let's take you out 20 years and sort of take off the guardrails of, what we think might be possible. And, what are you hoping for yourself for?
yeah. I think for myself, so I'm currently working on getting my master's in psychology. I think eventually, when I'm finished with corporate America, that I would like to become a certified therapist to help individuals in their career and in life. I think just having my experience, maybe in the next 10 to 20 more years, I'll even grow more and I can start sharing all of that experience with individuals. So I think that's my end goal. If you ask me what do I do on the weekends or, outside of work, it's I'm studying psychology to, become a better human. When you think about what I want for other individuals, we're in a very interesting time politically. You open or just in general in any country, you open Instagram, you open Facebook, there's a lot of noise. So I think if we as a society can learn how to tune out that noise and don't let it affect us and to control us in every moment, you can open Instagram right now and there's probably something terrible happening in the world, but don't let it control your day or control your emotions. So that way you can continue to accomplish what you've set forth. And that should always be, becoming a better human.
I really love that. It makes me think of I really draw this parallel. I'm curious how you think about this, but a distinction between, performance-based leadership. Performance
Yeah.
grabs attention, but leadership directs it. And part of what I'm hearing in that, and this is so essential in the true leadership approach, is our choice of where we place our attention and our awareness. Because what we focus on grows. And realizing that that is a choice. And in making that choice, we have the potential to grow and feed and cultivate whatever it is that we're paying attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, I mean, you could probably list 10 terrible things that are happening right now in the world, but you could probably list 20 wonderful things that are happening as well. So it's really the good and the bad. The balance will always be there. It's the yin and the yang, but it's what am I focusing on that will help me become a better human and help me also help other individuals have a better day. Right.
Fantastic. Well, I pray that we all learn that sooner than later.
It's definitely not easy.
Fair enough. Well, listen, true leadership in general. And I want to be really clear when I say true leadership, at least in the way that I'm talking about, I hope and I gather that you can tell I'm not just talking about professionally, right?
Of course. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
thinking about what true leadership means to you and your vision to the future and everything that we've talked about today, what's your growing edge right now? In what ways are you being stretched or tested in leadership or in life?
I think in my growing edge, it's really to scale leadership beyond just the team that I'm managing directly. It's really focusing on building systems, developing other leaders, influencing cross functionally in my current role to help everyone come together and be united at that same goal, that same vision. So for me, I can get so focused on my team that I forget there's other people in the organization or there's other people outside of these walls that need leadership and guidance. So for me, it's expanding my leadership just outside of my realm, right? And really affecting others that are maybe just on social media. They see posts that I do or on LinkedIn, how can I post something that's thought leadership? So it's really about reaching other individuals that are not just in my circle.
Yeah, I'm curious. It sounds like you already have a good awareness of what that next level of leadership is for you. I typically think of, as we go through these stages of leadership in our life, we're needing to let go, like unlearn things that we've learned along the way. I'm curious if you have a sense of or can articulate what you feel like is, the assumptions, the beliefs, the way of looking at things that may be outdated now and are time to let go in order to get yourself to that place where you can expand your influence beyond just to focus on your team.
Yeah, so it's a tough one, right? Because every day we are fighting against things that have been in place for 50 plus years, whether it be in living in New York City or going to work. So, my advice is if you want to create change, you have to have, it goes back to that influence. And whether you're a manager or a frontline contributor, the best way to create change is to emulate change and to emulate that process that you want to happen. So you win more followers, you get more people on your side by having compassion and by really influencing. And so that's listening, what's bothering someone or what's driving resistance, and then trying to find the same common ground so that we can work together.
Really love that. So here's a closing question. It's a little bit more of an invitation. You have the time, you have the space here to offer to our listeners whatever it is that is most in your mind and your heart to share right now. Literally anything at all. Take your time. The
Yeah.
floor is yours.
So if there's one thing I want to have, the listeners take is that, leadership is not a title. It's a choice that we make every day. It's how you show up to a meeting, how you handle setbacks, because, there's going to be setbacks in life. It's really how you handle that, how you give credit. You want to make sure that you're giving credit to your team members, to people that have helped you. And it's really about taking responsibility. All of these small choices compound over time and they really help create your true legacy. So be a good listener and lead with transparency.
Fantastic. Well, Blake, I super appreciate your time today, sharing the wisdom that you have with me here today. I've really gotten so much out of it. I have no doubt that whoever listens to this will equally benefit from what you've shared here today. Thank you so much for being on the True Leadership Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's it for this episode of the True Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this to catch future episodes. This conversation was brought to you by One Mountain Leadership, where we help leaders grow the capacity, confidence, and presence of true leadership through the True Leadership approach. To learn more about the approach, our offerings, our community, and how we can help you realize your potential in both leadership and in life, visit us at onemountainleadership.com.